Hey, playa, there's a lot going on in the world right now. From the pandemic to the protests and riots, all of it can feel incredibly overwhelming, which is why it's incredibly important for you to learn these two major skills. Learning these two skills are going to help you navigate through this system, be more aware of what's going on, and be ready to tackle any challenge that comes your way.
This is the Just Beats, you're watching the Just Beat.
For those of you that are new here, my name is Josh, and every single week I make videos sharing tips, ideas, and stories teaching you how to be your best self. So if you want to learn and grow, hit the subscribe button and make sure to click on the notification bell. One thing I talk constantly about on this channel is the need for us to be more compassionate human beings. And generally when I'm talking about that, I mean being gentle, compassionate souls, being understanding, being nurturing, being caring, and being loving. But there is also a time where anger plays into compassion, and that's called fierce compassion. You can think of fierce compassion like a firefighter running into a burning building to save someone, knowing that they care deeply about that person's life and well-being, that they're willing to risk their own to help them. Or even a person standing up against a corrupt institution or system that is hurting or oppressing people, doing what they feel is right because they don't want to see people suffer. Now, the thing about being fiercely compassionate is that in Buddhism, there is also something called near enemies, and fierce compassion has those near enemies. So it's important to know what they are to make sure you're not mixing up different emotions and feelings and outrage into that compassion. The first near enemy we need to look at is emotional reactivity. It's easy to feel like getting angry about something is bad, that anger is an emotion we should avoid, but anger is a normal, healthy, and human emotion just like any other. But the important question we need to ask is, what do you do with the mad that you feel? How do you channel that anger into meaningful actions? I think the best way for us to actually start doing that is to practice mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness allows us to be aware of the feelings that are happening within us in that present moment so that we can think through the consequences of any actions we take and we can find a true path forward to do something with the mad that we feel. The second near enemy that we may run into is self-righteousness, believing that we are morally superior, we have it all figured out and they are completely wrong, and because of that, they are the bad people and we are the good people. When we practice compassion for someone that's in need, it's easy to look at that other person as being the demon. They are evil, they are wrong, they are wicked, they are not capable of doing good and being good. And that's where we start to falter, because one thing we need to realize is that we all possess the capacity for good and evil. Now, that's not to say that some of their ideas might be good and maybe we're misinterpreting them. You may have the more helpful and positive ideas in this equation, but the moment we start looking at another person as incapable of actually learning and growing, we start to remove their humanity, and it starts to become easier and easier to no longer see them, but just to see the ideas that they represent. The Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh talks about a concept known as interbeing, recognizing that all of us are deeply connected to one another, that your pain and your struggle, your suffering is also my pain, my struggle, and my suffering. If we are all connected to the trees and the sky and the water, then we are also deeply connected to the racists and the murderers and the violent people out there causing harm, because there is a collective suffering that we all can experience here, and a collective peace is what we're working towards. So, by cultivating that inner peace and helping others do the same, we eliminate the suffering for both of us. The third near enemy of fierce compassion is hostility. How do we live and act in a way that promotes peace and reduces suffering in our lives and in the lives of others? This is where protests and sit-ins and conversations tend to happen. We need to be able to talk about our feelings in a way that is mentionable and manageable. But what tends to happen a lot is that we otherize the people on the other side, instead of recognizing that there are institutions and systems set up in place. And just like we may be disadvantaged by them, other people may be advantaged. So the system is affecting all of us in many different ways. So we need to speak up to that level and recognize that the individual is just a person in the process like us. And a major part of having those discussions is setting healthy boundaries for yourself, knowing when you're capable of engaging in a conversation. Look, not every single person is going to approach you in good faith wanting to learn about what your experience is like. So you need to be able to know when you're getting pulled into a hostile conversation so that you don't cause more suffering for yourself. Now, along with fierce compassion, there's another insanely important piece that without it, compassion is useless, and that is learning to gain wisdom on what's going on in the world right now. Growing up, we were all taught with a very limited source of knowledge. Maybe we learned what we did from school and from our parents and from our community, and we weren't always exposed to the way other people live, other people's perspectives, other people's experiences. So the best thing we can do right now is to open our minds up to learning, hear other people's stories, see what their challenges are like, gain different perspectives from people that you see are struggling and fighting and suffering in this world. There is so much for us to learn about racial justice, economic opportunities, discrimination, housing, access to healthcare, poverty, all these different topics. In fact, I'm going to link up a few really important resources you should check out down below. These are all things that we should be well educated on. If we're working towards peace within ourselves and in this world, we need to know what other people's plights are. Because questioning what we know will allow us to realize that we don't have all the answers. By being fiercely compassionate, being mindful in our actions, being aware that the suffering of someone else is the suffering of myself, and recognizing how we manage that anger that we feel, along with learning new wisdom about the world, people's experiences, and how things actually operate, it'll allow us to be a more well-rounded, decent, functioning human being. And I think that's the best thing we can aim for if our goal is to be our best selves. What do you think though? What's something you feel in your own life you need to start working on more or you need to learn more about? Leave your comments down below and we'll talk about it. I want to give a huge shout out to all my patrons and YouTube channel members. These are the people that help the channel grow by donating every single month. Now, what I want you to do next is to check out the video over on the side. This is a video by another YouTube creator. Taylor is amazing. Her channel is a mix of storytelling and social change, and the video she just uploaded, I think just really hit the nail on the head with everything going on in the world. So if you want to learn to be more compassionate and understanding, this is the video you need to check out. On that note, guys, I'll catch you next time. As always, love and peace.